Alright, we're dealing with 80 degrees Fahrenheit right now. 208,477 miles on the odometer. It's February 24th of 2024. So 24. 24, it's a pretty good program with Kiefer Sutherland. I don't know. I don't see why our country's never considered prohibition. We tried it in the, the 30s? I know it wasn't in the 20s because we had the roaring 20s, which were like really, bad. And then the 30s, they just went ahead and, cut off the supply to alcohol, and then they created speakeasies, and there was tons of crime. People were making their own versions of alcohol, which they'd probably go back and do, but I don't know. I just don't feel that it's a necessary thing. I know in some people's religion, they incorporate it in their religion, so it's kind of one of their arguments, like they'll have a little bit of wine for Mass or something like that. The Catholic do it, and some Protestants, not all, most Protestants don't at all. In most cases, most Protestants don't drink at all, but I think it's an issue, and I think it destroys, things in the country. But no one addresses it. You never, ever hear it because of the amount of money, the multi-million, billions of dollars that the country, the United States of America, makes off people being addicted to alcohol and cigarettes. And we've never once ever considered banning it. Nobody's ever even considered, or not a political figure, because they would just, it would just be absurd. There'd be problems in not only the food industry, but convenience stores would lose money, people would lose jobs. And it's sad, though, that there are people that it just, addiction's sad. But no one's considered it. No, you don't ever. Now, Alaska, the state of Alaska does have prohibition in certain areas. There's areas that are dry where it's illegal to have alcohol, and then there's areas where, because it's got out of control, it can do that. And so there is partial prohibition, but now everyone's, legalized weed, which is another type of abuse and another type of intoxication. But I don't mean to get on my high horse, but I think anything that slows down your ability to drive correct should probably just be outlawed. It's dangerous. You see the signs, don't drive high. Well, why would you do anything high? There's a good movie, I can't think of the name of it, but there's a character in it, I think it's a Israeli character that walks up to a lady on the road and says, or on the sidewalk, and says, it's good to be high. It's not necessarily good to be intoxicated. I don't agree with that at all. It's in the movie. I can't think of the name of it. It's a really good movie. It's about a lady that survived addiction. The movie title, cannot think of it. I wish I could. But it's not good to be high. Now, when you talk about, the Lord, and they use that term, which I don't really like using that term, but being high on the Lord, well, that's different. In religion, that's just finding spirituality and finding your connection with God. But it's not good to be intoxicated in any form, or getting too much of anything. I don't know, I've heard people kind of go crazy about the energy drinks, and there could be a little bit of truth to that, but it's not really intoxication. Like, too much caffeine, is not going to be an argument if someone's drinking too much, or having, too much vodka or something, It's not the same as having Mountain Dew, you can't compare the two, really. And law doesn't either. But what's the craziest thing about it all, and I'll tell you a lot about the Please Subscribe show and trying to survive a lot of this stuff. The craziest thing is it's a circle. The law and crime of alcohol, it's a circle, because you got the drunk, and then you got the law getting the drunk, and then they go into the drunk tank, and then they're right back out, and it just goes into a circle, and then they make money off that. The state makes money off of it, and then they allow them to go in and buy what they need. They tax them. They tax the two things, the tobacco and the alcohol. And, if we broke that circle of abuse, I see it as an abuse in society, because you have an authority figure, right? If the government says, well, we want abortion to exist, you better listen to us. So if a woman wants to go into a clinic and terminate a child, we'll enforce that, Well, they also enforce alcohol, and they also enforce give someone the right to go in and buy cigarettes and get emphysema and die, because once you get emphysema, you can't go back. Do you know that? When you get emphysema, you can't go back. It's sure death. And I've seen people die from emphysema. I've seen it. I've seen them have the oxygen mask. I've seen the whole thing. And we enforce that. It's something that we enforce. You understand? So in certain states, if a woman wants to go and terminate a child, that's enforced, right? With guns, right? They allow them to, they'll stand in their way and make sure. Now, not in Texas. In Texas, it's outlawed. You can't terminate a child. But you can still go into a liquor store and drink yourself, It's horrible. Our country is, I don't think we're a hair any different than any communistic country that's out there, like Russia or Cuba or, Russia, who knows how really bad they've got it, but don't think that we're anywhere near the land of free, because we're not. There's people out there that enforce evil, and it's done by the law, because remember, Jesus Christ was crucified legally. It was a legal action. So we know that we are behind enemy lines. And in April, we're going to see a movie come out called Civil War. I may go to the theater to see it. Kirsten Dunst in it. And it's about the country turning in on each other, just like they did back in the Civil War time. I think it's going to be a breather to see something like that. Like, why is this movie coming out? Who is the enemy in it? And why are they fighting each other? I think one of the problems is alcohol and cigarettes, and when you mess with someone's health, or you take away something they need, like oxygen or sobriety, it starts to throw an imbalance off in society. And then when it's enforced by evil people that use guns to enforce it and say that it's right to do that, I'm 100% against it. I can't wait till April. It's going to be a good start for this country. All right, there's the butterfly right by Westview. All right, next one is 10/02/11 4.7. Go ahead and green light the project. I notice is that these cops in some of these poor neighborhoods, they'll go through and turn these like high beam lights on. This is the second time I've seen it happen. But you know what? How often does that happen in rich neighborhoods? You know why? Because they would get the cruiser number of this incompetent cop that's doing it, and they would report them, because that's rude when you're shining light, and it's like 11:26 p.m. because supposedly you're in like the worst part of town. But why don't they go around a bunch of rich neighborhoods in the other side of Fort Worth and sit there and flash lights in their window and things? Why don't they bring it over to where it needs to be instead of the rich enforcing it? That's what I'm getting tired of seeing. It's the second time I've seen it. It's like all their lights are flooded on like a house or something. And there's nothing going on, or it would make the freaking news. You know, and then you've got like this poor guy over there fighting to survive, and you got some fat, overweight, cop sitting there talking to him. Of course the guy has problems, and you sit there and you see this stuff. Why don't they bring it over to a rich neighborhood and shine their lights over in a rich neighborhood? I'll tell you what, whenever I become commander-in-chief, that's what I'm going to have them do. And then they will cut their funding, where they'll have to do volunteer work, where they only do it 3 times a week, and that we pay them nothing, and they have to volunteer, right? So they volunteer doing it. They're like, oh, I'm a big hero. I'm going to volunteer my 3 days a week, and then I'm going to go off and work and provide for my family doing real work rather than shining lights into poor people's windows. That's just one thing I want to say, because that makes me mad. Because I know these neighborhoods are good neighborhoods because I go around them, and they're just doing that because they don't have anything else to do. And that's the reason why they get in entanglements and end up killing people, because they don't have anything else to do. And they arm them to the gill, and 90% of their training are to kill people. It should be 90% of their training should be them trying to find a job and work for a living, or do something, be creative, and find some way to make money, right? And then provide for their families, and then let them go out and have fun and shine lights in people's houses for free, on nobody's dime, right? On volunteer, because when I'm commander-in-chief, they're gonna be like firemen. There'll be a volunteer service, right? So listen up now, February 24th, start looking for a job. Because when I'm commander-in-chief, it's going to be volunteer, boys. You'll be doing it volunteer. So your son or your family will go, why don't they pay you, Daddy? Because I do it for volunteer. And then I go off and I work somewhere like at a bowling alley, or I go weld somewhere on a bridge or something and make real fucking work. Excuse my language, but real work. Why don't they do that? That's what I'm going to do as commander-in-chief, is make it be a volunteer service. That way, when they really do it, they do it from the bottom of their heart. And this is not necessarily a hateful thing. I think it's going to be better for society, and less people are going to get killed, even when it goes both ways. Now that I think about it, even joking around, I've never really put handcuffs on people and dragged them into a cell and tell them, suck it up, it's the way society is. Sorry, you didn't have the money to pay for it. I've never, ever done anything like taking someone away from their family, from their pets, from the comfort of their home, to give comfort to a state worker or to a federal worker, state or federal, if they're a trooper or FBI or whatever the heck they are, to make their life more comfortable because money is part of the game. I've never done that, and I feel good about it. So when I'm older and I'm looking at my grandchildren around the Thanksgiving table, I can look at them in the eyes and say, listen, I've never done this. I've never dragged someone into a cell, or I've never dragged a woman into a cell. Listen, a male cop should never even talk to a woman, okay? When I'm commander-in-chief, a male police officer won't even be able to look at a woman in the eyes while on duty. When I'm commander-in-chief, that'll be done by a female officer of the law. Because I heard the horror story of Linda being dragged into solitary confinement because they thought she was a little bit tipsy. What are we in, Puritan age? And I have a vlog on it. I have it vlogged. And we can go by archives and we can drag that officer into court and get the money that we need out of things. And we can drag the whole department of Denton into court, including the people that are overseeing the corrupt police officers in Denton, where they've had one of the largest marijuana busts ever. Whole group of them right there. I don't know, there's something about cats, but there's like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them, all in one little, they all scattered though. Oh, it did? Yeah, he does get that way a little bit. He gets kind of anxious.
I was like, it's 11:01 p.m. Daddy be here soon. I was gonna just lay in bed. I'll be kind of watching. I'm going. Damn, I forgot so tired.
Anyway, so all right, give me a kissy.
side of the road. Watch it. Scared me again. I saw you last night about this time.
There we go, kitty. Look at that kitty. Look at that kitty. Isn't that a cute kitty? Isn't that a cute kitty? Isn't that a cute kitty? Hey, kitty, say what again? Say what again? What country is what from? Say what again, kitty? Say what again? Yeah, kitty. Say it now. Say what again, kitty? That's right, kitty. Say what again? You don't mind if I take a little sip of this apple juice that's put in a bottle, do you? Yeah, the sexy side. That's right, kitty. Say what again? Oh, she got the card?
She got the card.
Oh, cool.
I think it's so sweet. I'll keep it forever. It's so pretty. You're so artistic. And you're pretty. You're as artistic as you are pretty.
Aw, thank you, Mom.
Oh, gosh. That's
Thank
so
you.
sweet. That's so sweet. Yeah.
Sorry, no offense, but it's more me and not Cole. It's more me, not Cole.
Well, I told her to do it.
We're together as a team.
Well, we're glad that you received the card, Mom. God bless.